The 90s was definitely a really good time to be a fan of gory spectacle. Though we've seen a bunch of bloody adult anime since then, it's safe to say that nothing comes close to the irreverent and experimental nature of 90s anime. These bloody and ultra-violent adventures might seem dated, but honestly, they're some of the best stories that the world of anime has to offer. Thus, in this video, we'll be going through 10 of the most brutal anime that the decade has to offer in order to see what makes the 90s so damn special. Now, without any further ado, get ready for things to get messy because here we go. Berserk, 1997. There's no better place to kick off this list than with Kentaro Miura's timeless fantasy masterpiece, Berserk. Berserk is a story that follows Guts, the Black Swordsman, on an endless quest for vengeance in a medieval world plagued by war, demons, magic, and corruption. This is a tale that delves into the unbelievable darkness of the human heart and depicts a lone mercenary struggling against his fate. Guts, after being betrayed by his former friend and commander Griffith, is marked by demonic forces that want him to give in to his bestial rage. The story has an incredibly bleak tone and a host of other characters like Casca who aren't really faring any better than Guts himself. Despite the unimaginably dark events that occur throughout the show, Berserk somehow retains a very human core and focuses on how the people around you can help you overcome trauma, no matter how great it is. Through Griffith, we also get a glimpse at how power and ambition can corrupt even the kindest of souls, raising some really poignant questions about morality. Miura's one-of-a-kind designs and vintage 90s look make Berserk a unique world that can often be as magical and whimsical as it is cruel. However, be warned. Berserk contains some pretty grotesque depictions of sexual violence and psychological trauma, so consider this a trigger warning before you dive into the show. The 1997 anime deals with two of the most integral arcs in the entire story, namely the Black Swordsman arc and the Golden Age, which will definitely provide you with a thorough introduction to this vast universe. Ninja Scroll, 1993. Ninja Scroll is probably one of the most infamous examples of a 1990s anime due to the sheer amount of violence and terrible events that occur in the show. It's a trendsetter in the fantasy genre and blends samurai action, supernatural horror, and historical fantasy into a tightly paced and visually striking adventure that's considered to be a monumental achievement in the world of anime. Directed by Yoshiaki Kawajiri, Ninja Scroll is a story that centers around Jubei Kibagami, a wandering ronin with a traumatic past. Through the course of the story, this lonely warrior becomes increasingly entangled in a deadly conspiracy that involves the 8 Devils of Kimon, a group of supernatural ninja that are looking to usurp the throne from the reigning Tokugawa shogunate. As a result, Jubei has to team up with a kunoichi named Kagero and Dekwan, a government spy. What lies ahead is a series of extremely brutal battles in an attempt to stop an old enemy whom he believed to be dead. Though there is no dearth of ninja-themed anime in today's pop culture landscape, what sets Ninja Scroll apart is its intense vibe and incredibly well-choreographed scenes that were way ahead of anything else from that era. The tale is told in an extremely atmospheric manner, with great action and stylized violence, but its depictions of sexual violence might be too much for most viewers. Ninja Scroll is undoubtedly one of the most unapologetically adult shows ever made, and if you think you have the stomach for something so grotesque, watch this visceral anime ASAP. Geno Cyber, 1994. From ancient samurai history, let's now jump to cyberpunk dystopia. Geno Cyber, an OVA based on a manga by Tony Takazaki, is a story that dives headfirst into a bleak cyberpunk future that's ruled by war, corporate greed, and unsustainable science. At the core of the story are two psychic sisters, Elaine and Diana, who have been fused together into a single, overwhelmingly powerful weapon with godlike capabilities, Geno Cyber. Its creator is a shadowy organization that seeks absolute military dominance, and thus, Geno Cyber is a being that can cause unprecedented damage and even wipe out entire cities when the situation calls for it. This leads to a race between governments and corporations as they rush to harness or eliminate this power. The tale is told in the form of 5 episodes with numerous shifts in setting and character. This fractured narrative depicts everything from dystopian cities to ravaged battlefields, emphasizing on mood and atmosphere. Each installment depicts unspeakable carnage and shows us the follies of unchecked human ambition. The story also has many sequences involving grotesque body horror and nihilistic violence that will definitely satiate your need for some good old-fashioned animated bloodshed. Though many find the lack of narrative and relentless brutality unappealing, that's exactly what we're here for. The haunting visuals and experimental structure are unlike anything that you've ever seen before, and that's perhaps why many consider this story to be a cult classic. Blue Gender, 1998. Our next entry is another brutal sci-fi spectacle known as Blue Gender that depicts a grim post-apocalyptic future where Earth has been completely overrun by monstrous aliens known as Blue. This strange tale was created by Ryosuke Takahashi and blends together some very intense mecha action with psychological drama and survival horror. Our protagonist is a young man named Yuji Kaito who was cryogenically frozen back in the early 2000s as a result of a mysterious illness. He's thawed out many decades later, only to discover that most of humanity has been wiped off the planet, with the remaining population left with no other option than to live on a giant space station known as the Second Earth. The planet has now become the dominion of the strange insect-like blues, who have succeeded in eliminating humanity from their home planet. Yuji also meets Marlene Angel, a cold and calculated veteran who is absolutely responsible for saving him. Initially, Marlene views Yuji as nothing but an obstacle, but as they journey across Earth's vast wastelands, both of these characters undergo some serious transformation. The bond between these two soon becomes one of the most central threads in the story, and even amidst the most violent battles, one can't help but be concerned about these guys. The story also asks several questions about the Blues' origins and takes on a darker, more introspective tone as it progresses. If you want to dive into themes like dehumanization, evolution, and the survival of mankind, you should give this forgotten classic a shot. Shinro, the Wolf Brigade, 1999. Our next tale is a somber yet unapologetically adult anime set in an alternate version of post-war Japan, where the nation is plagued by civil unrest and terrorism. Directed by Hiroyuki Okiura and written by the legendary Mamoru Oshii, who also penned Ghost in the Shell, this one is a slow-burning political thriller that also has elements of tragic romance and philosophy. Our central character is Kazuki Fuse, a member of a heavily armed special police unit known as the Capitol Police, whose main task is to suppress anti-government activity. On one mission, Kazuki hesitates to shoot a teenage girl carrying a bomb, only for the girl to kill herself moments later. After this incident, Kazuki is racked by guilt and becomes disillusioned with the authoritative and violent machinery of the state. As the story moves ahead, Kazuki becomes pretty close to the girl's sister, Kei, but this tumultuous relationship brings him into a world of conspiracies that leads him to a place of emotional isolation. The story actually incorporates numerous references to Little Red Riding Hood, using the timeless fairy tale's motif to speak about adult themes such as dehumanization and the beast lurking within the man. It's not your average action anime and has really deliberate pacing with minimal dialogue that really makes Shinro one of a kind. Moreover, the realistic animation really lets you reflect on the moral ambiguity of the story and leaves you questioning the psychological cost of violence. In any case, this one's a must-watch for anyone who likes anime with just a pinch of philosophy. Now and Then, Here and There, 1999. This one might just be the most emotional and harrowing one to get through on this entire list. Though it starts simple, with the tale focusing on Shu, an average Japanese boy who tries to protect a girl named Lala Ru from attacks, it soon turns into an exceedingly bleak story about an alternate world ravaged by war, drought, and tyranny. When Shu is sucked into this twisted universe, he finds it under the iron grip of a brutal dictator named Hamdo. Now, Hamdo is as despicable as they can get, a tyrant who doesn't shy away from anything as long as it helps him maintain control. We soon learn that Lala Ru, the girl that Shu was trying to help, has the ability to control water, which is basically the most vital resource in this dry and arid world. Shu soon finds out about the totalitarian regime's elaborate schemes that include everything from child soldiers to sexual violence. In essence, this is a tale about the dehumanizing effects of war and how it can strip away a child's innocence. Though this is a violent and brutal story, it's never gratuitous. Instead, it uses the grim setting to explore questions about human resilience, the moral superiority of nonviolence, and the possibility of finding hope even in the worst of places. Perfect Blue, 1997. You might already know how much we love Satoshi Kon on this channel, but if you don't, then the answer is, well, a lot. And masterpieces like Perfect Blue are the reason why we hold this mad genius in such high regard. This is a tale that literally blurs the lines between reality and illusion through its main characters, Mima Kirigo, a young pop idol who leaves her teenage girl band behind to pursue a serious career in acting. However, as she attempts to transition from her childish pop idol image to a more adult avatar, she slowly begins to lose her grip on reality. In addition to being pressurized by her management, Mima also discovers that she's being stalked by an obsessive fan. Soon, she begins to grow confused by who she really is, a suspicion that is further cemented by a mysterious website that's apparently written by the real Mima. The site describes her life in excruciating detail, and things only get worse when the people around her begin dropping dead. After all of this, there's only one question that haunts both Mima and the viewers. Is Mima the victim, or is she the one behind all these murders? Perfect Blue is an unforgettable story that has inspired everything from Hollywood films to modern anime due to its surreal atmosphere and shifting perspectives. This is a tale that questions everything from identity to fame, making it one of the most deserving entries on this list. Apocalypse Zero, 1996. Takayuki Yamaguchi's 1996 OVA is a short but gloriously violent spectacle that basks in its depictions of violence, grotesque imagery, and chaotic storytelling. Set in post-apocalyptic Japan, the story shows us a country that has been ravaged by a series of mysterious disasters. Our protagonists in this bleak tale are two brothers with a penchant for the martial arts, Kakugo and Harada Hagakure. The two brothers have undergone rigorous training in the art of combat under their father, Oboro, to fight the monsters that roam the streets in this dystopian future. To aid them in this, Oboro has also entrusted his two sons with fortified armor shells, which are essentially cyborg exoskeletons that have been created by forging the souls of deceased warriors. The suits were actually created by their grandfather, who was once a scientist in the Imperial Japanese Army during World War II. However, things go really wrong when Harara is possessed by a mysterious entity hidden in his armor. This entity mutates the boy's body and fills him with an innate desire to eliminate all of mankind in an attempt to cleanse the planet. Years pass and Kakugo moves to the Reverse Cross High School, which is located in one of the ruined districts inside Tokyo. The school also happens to be near the castle where Harada commands his demonic army. Thus, Kakugo must now stop his evil sibling from unleashing his demonic legions on the world and put an end to his schemes. Angel Cop, 1989 to 94. Angel Cop is a 6-part OVA that ran from 89 to 94 and was based on a manga written by Taku Kitazaki. The tale kicks off by dealing with terrorism at the end of the 20th century in a world where Japan is the largest economy. Despite this, the nation is plagued by unrest, and it falls on the anti-terror outfit, Special Security Force, to keep the threats in check. Our protagonist, Angel, is a cold-blooded SSF operative who has been tasked with hunting down radicals from the communist organization Red May, who are working towards bringing the government down. However, she soon begins uncovering a deeper conspiracy that involves rogue government factions, psychic assassins, and an experimental program that blurs the line between law and fascism. The show is excessive in its use of violence, and the raw animation style will definitely bring you back to the 90s. Kite, 1998. This controversial series, directed by Yasuomi Umetsu, came out in 1998 and gained a cult following due to its use of graphic violence and disturbing subject matter. This is a world steeped in noir hues, centering around Sawa, a teenage girl assassin who kills people for a pair of corrupt detectives who are actually responsible for her parents' murder. Sawa lives a hollow existence where her innocence and sense of self are crushed on a daily basis. However, everything changes when she meets another assassin named Obori, and a bond develops between them. The alliance between the two of them sparks hope for an eventual escape where they are free to live a life devoid of bloodshed and violence. Marvelous Verdict. This list definitely proves that they were really cooking back in the 90s. These gory, disturbing stories grant us a glimpse at the dark heart of humanity and allow us to see the abhorrent stuff that people are capable of. And more than anything, it's bloody, violent, and adult, which is sure to get viewers hooked to their screens. Do you agree with this list? Let us know in the comments down below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our marvelous content. Unfortunately, that's all we got for you this time, but don't worry, because we'll catch you in the next one real soon. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.